right, I am Sarah Poff, the multimedia storyteller, here just to tell you another story. Of course, I like to tell stories by painting or creating art in other ways. So this one is called Romance at Sunset. So let's get started on this painting. All right, so as you see here, we're going to paint a sunset. And then we're going to cover over with a heart. Now what I did previously is I took a piece of paper the size of my canvas, and then I cut out a heart, and I put upside down, right? Okay, I put it on like that so that I would kind of know, and I drew a line. But first I want to paint the sunset. And then we'll come back after we've let that dry a little bit, blown it dry, and we'll add the other black on top of it. All right, here we go. Now, I'm one of those who I just pick a brush. I don't, say it has to be a certain kind of brush. I just pick a brush. I also use the cheaper canvas. I go to one of those stores that has cheap canvas, and then I buy that. I have painted on other things, but my favorite is just the cheap canvas right now. As long as I can get that, I'm good. I also do, I have paint, and I do the big containers, and I do red, yellow, and blue, black and white. Now, if I'm going to paint a lot of some color, I'll go ahead and buy the big containers of that. But I don't spend a lot of time trying to make sure I have just this color or that color. I kind of mix it and I just kind of go with it. All right. So we need a landscape line across here. And then we're going to make the reflection of the sun at sunset down into the water. Let's see if we can get this started. All right, looks like I need to put a little black out here. All right, had to get some more. I do things simple. These are Corel plates, and that's what I use to put my paint on, and then I use the one on top of it and tape it if I want to try to save that paint. I like to save it, and I like to collect it after it's dry and make jewelry out of it. Just my personal preference there. Okay, so we're just going to take and make a line across here. We're going to do a little bit of black with it, a little bit of green with it, because it's kind of in the shadows there as the sun is setting. So I've got a darker green I've made, and then I've got some black, some of this kind of green, and I'm just going to go across there. Well, that paint's a little bit dry. I don't like to mix a lot of water with it, but I might like dip sometimes. You don't want this to be straight. You want some ups and downs. And we're not going to worry about like a lot of paint on here. We're just lightly painting it. I've described it sometimes like filling in a color sheet. You want the basic colors there, but you're not going to worry about much more besides that because you're trying to do this fast. Or our goal here is to get a nice painting in an hour, and so that's why we do it the way we do it. There's always more. You can come back and you're welcome to do that. It's your painting, and I want you to be happy with it. But also we want to I want you to accomplish something, because sometimes just the accomplishing of a painting then will lead you to wanting to do more art and wanting to learn about it. And that's our goal. And this one would be a good one if you have a spot in your house that you hang up seasonal. This one might be good for when summer starts. Because that's when I start thinking about the water and being out and about like that. All right, so I've got my tree line going. So I'm going to add some blue up here, and then I'll put some white into it. And then, of course, the yellow. You've got your yellow and your red. I don't have orange, so I'm going to make orange. And then kind of mix them together. So I think the deal I should do is I should start with my yellow. add some more yellow there. I just have a whole slew of brushes over here, so I just kind of pick one. And you saw me kind of push it back. I generally do that because I want to make sure that it's working like I think it does. If you're in doubt of if it's clean, you know, that's something else you might want to check out. It's going to do the ball of sun. Then I'm going to do some lines like this. Okay. All right, here we go. Just keep going like that. So now I'm going to, like I told you, I don't have orange, so I'm kind of going to go and mix some red and yellow together to make orange. You got it. Oh, that's something I certainly did at school. Is I didn't spend as much time as some teachers on teaching color theory, but I limited the colors I gave the children because I just thought they could jump in and learn it that way. If they mix it on their own instead of me giving them certain colors, then they'll learn how to. So just my kind of theory. We all have different theories, and that's all right. That's what I've learned through life. It's just all right. We all learn different ways. I just like to help people ease into the enjoyment of learning to paint, learning to do art. I don't want them to think it's a scary thing. It has to be a certain look or a certain way. We could go out there and find all those masters out there that broke the mold, came up with a new way to do it. Paint, 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 paint. I sure do like to paint. This sure is getting me ready to wanting to feel that sun, to see a nice sunset. Oh my. Where I live, it's been a few cloudy days here. I know we need rain, yes, we need rain, but sometimes you just want that sun all to show out. If it would just show out for a little while, we'd be good. Now, one thing I did have to adjust on this painting was I had to adjust the bottom part down here to make sure that I left some room for the blue, because the blue kind of got covered up with the black. And my heart felt like it was appropriate for the kind of paper, the kind of canvas I had. So I redid that part at the bottom. So you might check that out. You might, stop and make your heart and kind of check it out. Oh, got hair. Sometimes that happens with cheaper brushes or old brushes. When you're out on a lake or on the edge of the ocean and you just see that reflection in the water, it's so beautiful. I just want to walk out across it. It just makes me want to walk out there. Anybody else ever have a feeling like that? You just want to walk out there. Okay, I'm going to dry this a bit. Well, here, I'll paint up here. Dry it a bit, and then I want to put a little more yellow on it. You see what I did there? I just kind of went on top of it so it gives it a little bit of a misty kind of look. A far away, another way of thinking about maybe a far away look. Okay, I'm gonna blow dry, then I'm gonna add a little bit more yellow to it, I believe. I believe that will help it. The good thing about making it really light with your painting is it doesn't take much time for it to then dry when you use that blow dryer on it. Okay, I'm getting a clean brush. I'm gonna have to get me some clean yellow too because my yellow's getting all murky. Okay, I believe that is too much. Sometimes it's nice to have a bit of paper by you. You want some, but you don't want tons, which is really hard sometimes. Sometimes I've had to repaint something because I got carried away with that some. The sum ended up being a whole lot more than I expected. Put a little yellow right in here. So I want to make sure I bring that up to the edge there. Bring it down, a little more yellow to bring it down. And then we often see some yellow stripes that come out from the sun. I think I'm liking that. All right, now I want to move to the blues. Now I don't have to paint it all, but it's easier to paint it all. Plus I think it's kind of fun to see that like maybe this is a netting there. You know, it gives it that little bit of romance or just what is over there? What does it look like? That maybe there's some kind of netting hanging. And we can only see through part of it. All right, so then I need my blue and I need my white. Now I have kind of gone to what they refer to. It's still a big bottle, but it's called primary blue because sometimes when I got those, some of the other blues, they ended up being have a little too much white in it. You could still use it, but it was harder to get a darker one. So just something that's like a dark, like a navy, or like that one says primary, something that's a dark blue that doesn't look like it has much white. Because that's what they do, is they mix a lot of white in some of those, and that makes it harder. Okay, another brush. See, I'm doing that same kind of thing. I have lots of brushes at my axis here, and I'm just going for it. Pull some white across there. Looks like I'm going to need some more white. But I've had a good day. I've been painting all day, and I've had a good day running with my white. If you only mix a little bit of it at a time, it's really cool how you can paint on the same plate for multiple types of paintings. It's kind of a hard skill to teach children, but definitely a good one to have because you don't have to worry about running out of paint as quickly. Okay. Okay, here we go. So we want to add in some white. I've got the blue going, and I need to add in some white. And I wanted the swirls of like what would be in the sky. So I'm just kind of coming across. I want to still see a little bit of that darker blue. I want to see some that's close to white, and then some that's in the middle. Sometimes in the middle I will switch brushes just because I want to not have quite so much on my brush, and I'm kind of getting it to smooth across there. If you were to go rinse out your brush at this kind of point, you would want to make sure you really dried it, because I'm trying to dry paint, you know, just kind of push those together, kind of dry and painting as I go. I think I want a little bit more. I'm looking at this one and I'm wanting a little bit more of the darker up at the top. Brush is getting a little heavy with paint, so I'm going to wipe it off over there. There we go. That's what I want. That's what I want to see. All right. So I'm going to do the same thing down here. Let's see what I've got on my brush. It needs white. Trying to get all those little corners, which when you're trying to keep it a little drier, sometimes that makes it a little bit harder. But we also want to be able to finish this in a timely manner. So that is part of it. Do you have a favorite lake to go to? Here in Missouri, we have a bunch. I grew up in southeast Missouri, so we really didn't have very many close there. But where we would go to the lake would be in Kentucky, because we were just close to the river, the Mississippi, and there's lots of swampland down there. And the ones on the Kentucky side were better to swim in than the ones that were close to us on the Missouri. They were still an hour and a half or so away, though. It just wasn't anything close. It's a whole different way of living down there when it comes to the landscape. Okay, now let's see. I think I've got that going pretty good. Let's see about this old blow dryer. got so much paint on my fingers I can't tell when I touch it whether or not it's this time or last time. All right, now what I did on the putting that background, I'm going to turn it this way just because it's easier for you to see the outline there. Okay. So what I did is I went in and took a pencil. I can take a Sharpie because that way you can see it better. And just, you can see the lines. I really like that blue I did though. Don't think, I'm going to see about cutting this heart just a little bit more. I didn't bring my scissors in here. It's okay. We'll just go for it this way. But you can kind of play around with that, some of that. So if I wasn't making that part that is the outline in black, I would not want to do this with a black Sharpie. I would certainly do it with something else. I wanted you to see it, and I know that I'm doing black, so it should be good. Okay. So I think what I'm going to do before I start in on the black, I see now where those lines are. I'm going to make my water come up just a little bit here. I should say the part of the water that's blue, shouldn't I? Because the reflection is the sun in the water. So this is exactly what I decided when I did it before, is that I needed to add a little more in like that. All right, which means the blow dryer again. So now what I want to do is I want to take a sponge and I'm going to sponge all this, and then we'll come back in and add some more details. So I have just a little sponge. If you don't have a sponge, what some alternatives would be to take maybe a stenciling brush or take a brush that's in bad condition. Let's see if I can find one. I always just keep all those brushes that are kind of rough on the edges. You know, and I just kind of stamp them around, and they work pretty good. A toothbrush could also be something that you could use in that same kind of way, because you could, you know, you could stamp it like this. Let's see what it looks like. We'll just do it a little bit here and let you see what it looks like. Because what we want to do is we want it not to be like totally black and tan. We want it to have a little bit of the shine through. It might take a little bit longer to do it this way, but that's certainly a way that it could be done. Okay. Now I don't want this to be like soppy with the paint. I want it to just have a little bit. And I want to try this out on here. And then I'm gonna kind of get just used to what my sponge is doing. And I don't mind if it goes, oh, I want the heart to be seen as a heart. That, you know, that space that's window into the sunset. but a little bit of the black can just definitely go over it. Now, if you don't want to get your fingers this much into it, you could also do a clothespin. Just put a clothespin on here and use that. I used to do that with my preschoolers, but you know what they do? Is they squeeze the clothespin at the top and the sponge falls out anyway. So I just made the sponges bigger and just had them hold on to it. Back in those days when I taught preschool. Well, I think most of the last of my preschoolers are probably getting close to hitting 40. However, I have had fun in the next generation of preschoolers. I didn't stop there. I enjoy being with children and helping them. And now helping adults, it's fun too. I just never envisioned that I would do something like that. But it is fun. I hope you enjoy painting and learning some fast techniques. Why I developed some of this along the way is because of teaching elementary art. I had 45 minutes. And so I had to figure out what I could do fast, and they only came like once every 4 days. So they weren't there very many times a year, and I didn't want the projects to drag on and on and on. And so I would try to figure out different techniques that made something that was learning, something about art, but also being able to do it faster. And I was really lucky with the people in the Kansas City area, the business people in the Kansas City area, because they would donate items to me, and it was wonderful. I enjoyed what I did. And now I enjoy what I do for Mid-Continent. As a retired teacher, it's nice to be still teaching. Just not every day in a classroom. So we're printing the sponge is what it feels like. Print. I sure do like to print. Print. I sure do like to print this sponge. I like the way the texture looks. I know it's not yummy, but sometimes artists call things a little different, and to me the term that comes to mind is yummy. Need a little more black. Well, come on, black. You must not want to come out of there. Stamp. I sure do like to stamp. If you're new to following me or listening to me, you know why I do those songs? It's because I tried to keep the kids going on whatever part of art or painting we were doing, painting, drawing, whatever it was, coloring in a shape they had drawn. And it seemed that they stayed with it better if I sang some silly little song with them. And one of my favorite stories from that time is one little boy popped up at the end of school after he'd had me all year. He was kindergartner. And he said, Mrs. Poff, I'm so sorry that you aren't the music teacher, that they didn't want you to be the music teacher, that you had to teach art. I know how you like to sing. And I gave a big chuckle because they wouldn't have wanted me in the music department. They wouldn't have wanted me there. but I have helped with many a musical. Because art teachers back in the day made lots of props for musicals. I want the blue to show a little bit. That's just a little bit more than I like. Okay. I don't want to get too carried away here because I don't want to, maybe I want a paintbrush. A little black paint in here before I do the sponge on it. All right, so we're continuing to work on this black around the edges. It's fun and tiring all at the same time. Fun and tiring all at the same time. Of course, some of the best things in life take a little energy and time and redo and look at again. Okay, I have used so much black. I'm going to have to put out some more, so just give me a minute there. Shake, shake, shake. Gonna have to see about some more black soon. Let's see if I can do it with my left hand. Let's see if I get a little closer in there. Okay, I'm going to switch and get that brush and get closer to the line before I use the sponge on it. Now you have to decide how much of that blue you want to show through there. Okay. Now what I notice the most when I'm standing here looking at this is that I really wanted my sun to be like right there, which should mean if I do this one again, I should start with drawing that heart on there. You know, hindsight's always the best. So let's see what we can do, because you may have done it too, because you may have followed what I put out there. Oops, we'll just leave that one till later. See if I can do a little more yellow paint on here. Now, sometimes I found out that when you're trying to do something like that, that yellow is hard to go back over, but that if you can add a little white in there, then come back and put some yellow, sometimes that will help. Let's see. I'm running out of all my paints. So I also want to do a little more over this way. So we're going to give that a chance to dry, work on some of those other things, and then we'll come back to that. All right, so what I want to do now is I want to draw the tree in. So I'm going to, I don't want a really little brush, I kind of want it in between size. And I want the tree to look like it's on the outside. So I'm going to do it like this. And I'm going to switch to a smaller brush because I want to make some limbs now that are going to be, some are going to be pretty good size and some are going to be smaller. And on something like this, I use my YV tree theory. Make a bunch of Y's and then you add some V's to the end. It's easy to remember and it gives you a good start. Now if you want to become a tree connoisseur and learn more, there's really cool looking trees out there that you can look at and follow and learn more about. But it's just a simple start. Sometimes if you make them a little this way or that way, you got to go back and thicken those ones underneath to get the look you want. Okay, so we're going to let that dry a little bit. And then we're going to put some leaves on there. Now, on here I have a little boat with a sail. I guess one could call that a sailboat. So what I did is I took a Sharpie. I did it like that. And then I did it like this. You know, I wanted them to know that it was, you know, something someone could sit down in. I mean, you could paint another color in there if you wanted. But I just kind of did it like that. And then I added a white sail on top of there. Let me look there. Sometimes you have to get away from this to look at it. So and I remember looking at it going, oh, that doesn't work, that doesn't work. And then when I added the sail to it, which I won't do, I need to let it dry. I won't do for a little bit. I want it to dry some. And what I want to do is I want to give these trees a little more texture to them. A little bit more like leaves on there. So this one, because the bristles are all spread out, looks really good. Makes some nice looking leaves there. It's kind of nice to put more than one color of green with it. I wipe my brush off because what did I do? I got too much black in that on this right here. So sometimes it's a real delicate mix in what you want to do. And that's the good thing about acrylic is you can let it dry. Sometimes it takes a little adding of white in there. I'm going to dry this all, I think. I'm going to paint this yellow again. So I lost some hairs. Oh, there we go, I got it. Sometimes that happens, you lose a few hairs out of your brush. They have to be retrieved. I'll just add a little more paint, just give the sun a little texture there. Yeah, little finishing brushes are good. Just to add a few more little details in here and there. A couple little spots that the canvas shows through. So I need to do I want to do a little bit with the landscape there to add a little green in, and then I want to add my sail. Now in some paintings I've done like this, I have put a little shadow of a person in there. So that's always a possibility. But if it's romance at sunset, you might not want to put a little person in there. Okay, I think I would like to put a little more of that paint on there in a minute. I'm going to add some little trees along here. A little darker green I have. Remember that you can use the complementary color, or you can use a little black. A little black makes it harsher. The complementary will make it darker without quite as much of the harshness to it. So it's just kind of what you want to do when you're doing some of this. See, now if I can add a little bit here, you can see it looks more like trees there. My paint is drying on me. I'm trying to twist it in. Sometimes I carry a spray bottle with me and I put a little spray on there. I'm going to put a little black in there. So the fun thing about adding this is then you've got your sunset already there. You've got your sun, and then you can just add it kind of in front of, and it brings up some nice, like, we know all the trees wouldn't be the same height, and also just brings up some nice things with the vegetation there. So what I do when I finish a painting is I put it somewhere prominent in my house that I walk by often. I look at it, I kind of think about it, see if there's anything else I want to add. And then I have 2 or 3 different places. I don't have one wall I use, but I have 2 or 3 different places within my house that I actually put paintings on and change them out seasonally. So that's, to me, that's what these are fun for. I had a friend one time I was talking to her about, what I did, the virtual programs I did, and I was telling her about these paintings. She says, "Oh, well, my friend and we did one, and we didn't do too good with it, but we had lots of fun." And she said, "And every year we put our painting back out." And I thought, that's it right there. You had fun, and every year you put your painting back out. That's why you do things like this. There's always more that could be done to make a painting better. Some of those famous guys, they never did finish some of their paintings just because it took them so long to figure out what they thought was good. And then even after that, they would repaint something multiple times. My story about that is the fact that I went into a house one time to visit somebody, and they had this painting above their fireplace, and it was a little boy that was blonde-headed, a man that was blonde-headed, and a lady that was blonde-headed. And I wasn't sure because I didn't know the people very well yet because I was doing a home visit for the preschool I taught in at the time. And then when the lady came out and her husband came out and the little boy came out, I went, oh, that's them, I guess, because it's in a prominent place and it's the right color hair. But that was the only thing that looked right. And so what I did, because, I was never happy with the paintings I had done. I had one that was my husband and myself. I painted it about the time we got married of us. I took our engagement picture and painted that painting. And it looked a whole bunch more like us than that did of them. So instead of having it behind I had it multiple places, behind the mirror, behind the chest of drawers, we'd move different times, behind the file cabinet sometimes, because it just, it didn't look right. I didn't finish my hand, and then, I just tore it apart. Well, I thought, if they can hang that in a prominent place in their house, and it doesn't look like them, then I think I'm okay to hang mine up. And you know what? It's still hanging up in my house today. Every house I've lived in since then, it has been hung. Sometimes we're just too hard on ourselves. Okay. Oh, I like that. I actually like that better than what I did here. All right. Well, let's see. This painting was Love at Sunset. So I hope you enjoyed this. I'm Sarah Poff, the multimedia storyteller, here telling you another story. This time it was with painting. That's a wrap.